Between May 7th and 10th of 2016, a total of 57 tornadoes touched down in and around the Midwestern United States. The 3-day-long fiasco was one of the most significant outbreaks of the year. Several tornadoes reached EF4 and EF3 intensity, but there was one in particular that stood above the rest. This is the story of the beautiful and destructive Wynnewood, Oklahoma EF4 tornado. Storm chasers lead pretty crazy lives. What other career has you drive into deadly storms with thousands of dollars worth of camera and tracking equipment? But thanks to some brave storm chasers in Oklahoma, the world got to see some awe-inspiring footage of an EF4 tornado touching down outside of Wynnewood, Oklahoma. By their own account, the chasers were apprehensive at first, worried the day would be full of hiccups. For most people living in Tornado Alley, any non-tornado day is a good one, but not for these thrill seekers. You could call May 7th to May 10th, 2016 Oklahoma's Storm Chaser Weekend. 57 confirmed tornadoes touched down, with 4 reaching EF3 intensity. But only one storm topped at EF4, and it was the one the people of Wynnewood wouldn't soon forget. The Wynnewood tornado had all the fixings of a classic storm. For starters, it was May in Oklahoma, which the locals knew to be peak tornado season. The afternoon saw a mid-level wave pass through the area, an area located on the 100th meridian, also known as the dry line. But what does that mean exactly? Meridian lines are imaginary lines that run north to south around the planet. You've probably heard of the prime meridian, which is the world's zero longitude line. Its horizontal brother is the equator, acting as the world's zero latitude line. Tornado Alley in the mid-United States sits on the 100th meridian line, marking the area where humid eastern air crashes into dry western air. The 100th meridian runs north to south, cutting through East Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, the Dakotas, and then up through Canada. But in the central US, the dry and humid air clashes to create the perfect catalyst for severe weather. Hence, the violent tornadoes they're accustomed to. While the 100th meridian is static, the dry line moves east during the day and then retreats west at night. It's during this eastern migration that severe storms are most common, particularly around 4 in the afternoon. Coincidentally, the Wynnewood tornado touched down at 4:06 p.m. Original predictions marked southeastern Oklahoma and Arkansas as an area of concern, but around 1 p.m., satellite imagery showed what's called a loaded gun profile, which basically means something terrible was bound to happen. A warm front over the Red River collided with the dry line heading east near Katy, Oklahoma. Only a few hundred people lived in Katy, and all of them were about to witness one heck of a twister. 6 minutes into the danger window, a violent stovepipe tornado touched down south of Katy. Now, when you picture tornadoes in your head, you're probably thinking about cone tornadoes. Cone twisters are narrow where they touch the ground and wide in the sky, thus looking like a cone. Stovepipe tornadoes usually maintain a wide shape from top to bottom. These are the ones you hear about reaching several miles in width, the same ones that typically cause millions, if not billions, of dollars worth of damage. The storm began south of OK-29, near the intersection of N3210 Road and East County Road 1680. The storm snapped trees and dug up the ground in its path after touching down at EF1 intensity. Soon, the tornado ramped up to EF3 intensity, destroying more trees as it moved east along 1680 and towards a single home. Once the storm passed over, the only things left were the foundation and interior walls. A different, much luckier homeowner on the edge of the storm's path only suffered a few blown-out windows. Storm chasers followed the storm east as it continued on its path of destruction, debarking several more trees and scouring the ground. It tore the roof off of another home and snapped several telephone poles in half. Soon after, the tornado inflicted EF4 intensity damage at the intersection of Indian Meridian Road and E1680. The winds were so powerful that they totally flattened a well-built anchor-bolted brick home. The winds picked up cars and threw them like children's toys. The mangled heaps of metal were beyond recognition when the owners finally found them. The storm continued east, laying waste to another home at EF3 intensity. Then it destroyed a nearby mobile home, and another car got pushed towards a pond. The Wynnewood tornado story takes an interesting pop culture-fueled turn when our storm chasers zoom past Joe Exotic, aka the Tiger King, and his crew. Mr. Exotic was out filming the tornado for his YouTube channel, Joe Exotic TV. Of course, this all occurred in 2016, long before the Tiger King became a household name thanks to the Netflix documentary. The storm dissipated soon after crossing I-35, but not before snapping and uprooting a few more trees in its path.
Alright, tornado continues on the ground, now being transmitted to local media. Looks like it's crossing I-35 very shortly.
At around 4:27 p.m., the tornado lifted back into the clouds, just south of Wynnewood, Oklahoma. But the adventure wasn't over for our storm chasers just yet. As the Wynnewood storm ended, our chasers picked up 3 more twisters on their radar. One near Joy, Oklahoma, another near Sulphur, and a third near Atoka. The 2016 tornado outbreak between May 7th and 10th caused extensive damage across Oklahoma. Sadly, 2 people lost their lives in the storms when the high-intensity winds destroyed their homes. The outbreak was so violent that forecasters had no choice but to declare tornado emergencies for nearby towns. Their warning was pretty stiff, telling residents they were in a life-threatening situation. A cashier named Jessica was at work when the storm hit. She said the tornado came so close that the managers forced the employees and customers inside the store to take cover. But she is a seasoned Oklahoman who's used to this weather. She even made fun of the pea-sized hail when reporters asked about the experience. Meanwhile, a woman named Dana was driving home when the tornado warnings went off. She pulled off the road and sought shelter in a school she knew was equipped with a safe room. Inside, she met dozens of kids, teachers, older folks, cats, dogs, and babies, all hoping to stay safe from the incoming storm. In her own words, it was like the whole town was there. In all, the 2016 tornado outbreak lasted 3 days, 4 hours, and 24 minutes. 57 twisters touched down between the High Plains, Central Midwest, and parts of the Ohio Valley. 2 people lost their lives, and 19 others suffered some kind of injury. 12 storms touched down on May 9th alone, with only the Katy tornado peaking at EF4 intensity. Otherwise, 5 other storms registered at EFU or EF unknown intensity. This simply means that there wasn't enough damage evidence to rate the storm. Meanwhile, 3 storms reached EF3 intensity, 2 sat at EF1, and a single storm registered at EF2. Now, 1 tornado is bad, and 2 are even worse. But after 3 days of non-stop storms, the 2016 tornado outbreak sounded like one for the record books. But what if we told you the 57 storms reported in 2016 are nothing compared to some of the worst outbreaks of all time? The largest, deadliest, and most expensive tornado outbreak was the aptly named Super Outbreak of 2011. From April 25th to the 28th, the southern, midwestern, and northeastern U.S. experienced 360 storms, with 4 reaching EF5 intensity. Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee took the brunt of the damage, with 175 tornadoes touching down between the 3 states. The storm system made it as far as southern Canada, with bits of New York also experiencing destructive storms. April 27th was the worst day, with a record-breaking 216 tornadoes touching down over 24 hours. The storm system claimed 348 lives and caused over $10 billion in damage, making it the most expensive tornado outbreak in U.S. history. The most violent outbreak in history goes to the 1974 Super Outbreak, when 30 F4 and F5 tornadoes touched down across 13 US states and Ontario, Canada. The storms still caused about $843 million in damage, which would be just over $4.5 billion today. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another one of ours just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that said, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.